Welcome to the Explainer. Right now, we're looking at a truly chaotic and honestly fascinating period in mid-July 2026. On one hand, you have the visceral, emotional fallout from the World Cup. On the other, the frantic billion-dollar madness of the summer transfer window. It's this crazy mix of heartbreak, hyperspending, and a whole lot of drama. So let's break it all down.
Okay, let's dive into this outline. First, we'll cover the World Cup semifinal fallout and that explosive Bellingham and Messi clash. Then, we pivot to Iraola's new Liverpool era, and finally, the absolute madness of the summer transfer market.
So we absolutely have to start here with this number, 2-1. It's the stark, devastating reality of England's World Cup semifinal loss to Argentina. It's a scoreline that literally shattered a nation's dreams and kicked off a dramatic chain reaction that we're all still dissecting today.
Moving into Part 1, World Cup semifinal fallout and the media circus surrounding Thomas Tuchel's departure. The dust had barely even settled on the pitch before the tactical postmortems turned incredibly personal. I mean, just look at this TalkSport headline. Simon Jordan absolutely slamming Tuchel over this whole concept of England DNA. The punditry divide here isn't about formations anymore, right? It's turned into a really bitter debate over national identity.
But hey, it wasn't just the pundits weighing in. Manager Sean Dyche pointed out Jude Bellingham's post-match comments, calling them a direct, quote, odd swipe at Tuchel. Dyche is totally convinced these reactions hint at deep, deep fractures within the locker room. It really paints a picture of a squad unraveling behind closed doors, just as much as they did out on the pitch.
Next up, Part 2, the Bellingham and Messi clash where post-match tension boils over.
Just look at how rapidly things escalated here. Right at the 90th minute, Argentina secures the win. Bam! By 90:02, Bellingham is already squaring up to Messi. And then, literally 3 minutes later, he slaps Valentin Barco. ESPN dedicated an entire segment to just this one sequence. It's a stark reminder of the absolute crushing pressure cooker these global superstars live in.
All right, on to Part 3, Iraola's new Liverpool era. The domestic club hangover officially begins.
We need more players. Well, Antonio Iraola certainly didn't mince his words during his very first Liverpool press conference, did he? It's just a blunt, honest assessment. But it signals a massive strategic shift for the club and sets some really clear, immediate demands for the front office right out of the gate.
So Iraola is already out there leading his first pitch training sessions. But that training is happening under immense public pressure to strengthen the squad. And the urgency we're seeing at Liverpool right now isn't isolated. It perfectly reflects a broader, almost desperate scramble across all the top clubs trying to capitalize on a very, very tight post-tournament window.
Which leads us to Part 4, Summer Transfer Market Madness, featuring Fabrizio Romano's BOMBAS and billion-dollar bids.
Now, what's really interesting here is Arsenal's absolute chaos. They're aggressively pushing a £100 million mystery bid for a major forward while simultaneously trying to hijack Chelsea's deal for Lacroix and preparing a bid for Rodgers. I mean, they're trying to radically overhaul their attack and defense at the exact same frantic moment, happily stepping on their rivals' toes to do it.
And Fabrizio Romano's timeline? It's basically a web of breaking bombas, highlighting this fierce tug-of-war for global talent. Barcelona desperately wants Julián Alvarez, but Atletico flatly refuses to sell. Over at Real Madrid, they're drafting plans for Michael Olise. Meanwhile, John Duran is locked in ongoing talks with Barça. Europe's absolute giants are literally going head-to-head.
And honestly, that is barely scratching the surface. Massive bids have just been submitted from SALAH, PSG is preparing their next blockbuster signing, and you just know Pep Guardiola is quietly plotting City's response to all of this. It's a wildly optimistic blank-check spending spree across all of Europe's elite. The money flying around is just staggering. Which brings us to the ultimate question. How will 2026 World Cup fatigue combined with this frantic transfer window actually impact the upcoming season? Think about it. We have emotionally shattered, exhausted players returning to billion-dollar, completely overhauled squads. How will that volatile mix actually perform when domestic football finally kicks off? It's going to be a fascinating collision for sure. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.